Celebrating the power of inclusion and the spirit of progress, the 5th edition of ET Now Best Organizations for Women Summit 2025 brought together leaders, innovators and change makers shaping a more equitable corporate India. Join us as we celebrate the stories, the strides and the spirit of progress driving a more inclusive tomorrow.
As the world changes, also the workplaces are. Hence, that is why we all have convened together this evening, where we have gathered indeed to honor the organizations who are indeed leading this change, leading this transformation. We will continue to spotlight and honor the organizations that are leading the way in creating spaces where talent, not the gender, decides the opportunity. We have a stellar lineup of speakers, the influencers, the change makers who will take the stage in the spotlight. But for now, let's raise the curtains of the evening with an opening keynote address, ladies and gentlemen, on In a League of Her Own. Please welcome the inimitable and the iconic Neeta Lulla on the stage.
Fashion is a culture and identity involving emotionality. Brands that last are successful because they listen to their consumers. They adapt and innovate while staying authentic to their philosophy. You shape the future of fashion as a designer or a consumer, so be unapologetically yourself. Thank you.
As we now shift the gears for, like I said, this unmissable discussion, how do we hire to retire? How organizations can support women across every stage of their lives?
How managers can play a better role in supporting women through different stages of their career.
Manager plays a critical role for any employee, especially for women. For example, when it comes to somebody coming back from maternity leave. Now, as an organization, as an HR, Welcome Mom Back Home is an initiative you will run, but it is a manager who needs to get trained. How exactly do you ensure that this mentor can really help out over there? So, those are the initiatives. So for us, what is very important is that when we have a first-time manager, they get trained how to deal with the employees who's going through maternity, maybe getting married, maybe getting divorced, or even, any kind of these kind of problems. How do you deal with it? Because it's the empathy which makes a real difference.
Madhu, this question is for you. What's one policy or initiative at your organization that has made a big difference in supporting women at work?
What we are trying to do is that first thing is that when these people go for motherhood, come back, they're losing their salary appraisals because typical HR psychology is that, okay, others have been for 12 months duration, they worked for the previous performance year. These people have been out already 6 months. So there is a discrimination. So we want to fight against the discrimination. All policies, most importantly on the cultural aspect, we are giving a lot of weightage now.
The event featured a keynote by Pankaja Munde, Minister of Environment and Climate Change, who shared her vision on creating a politically and socially equitable tomorrow. Let's take a look.
I feel we should give that kind of confidence to women we are working with, that they don't need a legacy, they can create their own legacy. So when my son tells me, Mama, can I put your name along with my father's name? So I feel very proud of him. And I feel every woman should get that kind of dais because she has all the merit, but she just needs that kind of nurturing environment which is getting provided now. People are really appreciating women of all the forums, and women are coming and getting successful, and this disparity will end one day. We have to run little faster. More capacity we have to build because already there is an established setup. Anything which I can do as an environment minister or a part of this government, I will always be there to entertain. I am looking forward to see more programs like this. More power to women. Thank you.
Ma'am, we will request you to please officially unveil the coffee table book, the ET Now Best Organizations for Women 2025. So we will now call on the stage someone who will explain and elucidate on the methodology of selecting and shortlisting the ET Now Best Organizations for Women 2025.
The indexing process ensures most impactful factors receive higher weightages. So the percentage of women in the workforce takes the largest chunk at 20%. Women empowerment policies and number of women in the board of directors has a weightage of 15%, and the rest of the parameters lie within 10 to 5% of weightages. So as all of you will appreciate, the ET Now Best Organizations for Women is based on a robust and research-driven methodology.
The event continued with a felicitation ceremony honoring organizations that have set benchmarks in building inclusive and empowering workplaces for women.
So there are a number of initiatives that the bank has taken. I mean, I can club these initiatives in three buckets. One would be with respect to the health of our women employees. Second would be in terms of their mobility. And the third would be in terms of their professional development. We found out that the women do not opt for promotions due to the transfers. So we are exempting our women from being transferred right from the stage of their getting pregnant till the child is 2 years of age. This is the first in the industry. We have brought in the concept of women-only branches in 90 of our regions. We have altogether 90 regions. And in all the regions, one branch is identified to be totally handled and managed by women.
In Shell, as it should be in most companies that do take DE&I seriously, it really begins from the top. Until fairly recently, the senior executive board in Shell globally was greater than 50% women. In Shell India, we're about 38% women overall, and we've consistently tried to grow year on year at the rate of about 24% CAGR in order to meet these numbers deliberately and with intentionality. But more importantly, once they're in the workforce, it's also important to hear their voices and what we do with them. And it actually begins straight from the beginning and from the start. Across, we've got policies and processes that actually support women's career development, our performance management systems, the way we deliver increases, the objective way in which merit is actually delivered is a fantastic example of how it's complete objectivity in the system. As far as women's voices are heard, there are fantastic women's groups as well as ERGs that consistently bring out women's issues, challenges, even joys and growth opportunities to the fore, where we celebrate as well as have conversations about these regularly. And so it is very important for the corporate culture to be partnering with women at each stage. We've got everything from dealing with maternity work groups through to a creche on site, through to flexible working policies, sabbaticals. Very recently now, not just for women, but for across, we've introduced elder care. We've got parental leave policies for men as well now, about 8 weeks. And believe that having men as allies is also very important in bringing along women's issues and career challenges to a proper landing when working in organizations. POSH is extremely serious for us, as it should be for all organizations, and ensuring women's safety at the most. We've got employee groups in place that actually have and provide help and support to women to talk through POSH issues. There is, of course, an internal complaints committee that is by law held together, where women are empowered to actually go in and have conversations, confidential and otherwise. We often actually find that it's not a very comfortable thing for women to be named witnesses because it is a difficult space. And running POSH and confidential investigations is done with utmost confidentiality towards managing the safety of the woman in question. We're not afraid to take hard calls. We've had several opportunities where in these posh investigations, it has been difficult to have named witnesses, and women do not want to be coming ahead, but that hasn't stopped us from taking the right decision in terminating perpetrators. So it goes beyond safety for us and beyond the compliance angle and beyond the process angle. The whole idea is really about standing true to what we believe as the right and the fair thing, and holding our company values of honesty, integrity, respect, and our code of compliance to bear, where women's safety, as well as anybody in terms of a harassment-free culture, is held topmost for all employees across Shell.
At MSD, we are committed to turning conversations around diversity and inclusion into real, meaningful action. We have rolled out a whole range of programs to support women at different steps of their journey, right from education and all the way to career advancement. One of the challenges that many young women, especially in underserved communities, face is access to education, particularly in STEM fields. That's why we introduced the program, Fellowship for Daughters. This initiative is not about providing financial support, not just about that, but it's also empowering young girls with resources they need to pursue pharmacy education and inspiring the next generation of leaders. Now, coming to the professional journey, we have launched Women in Sales program in partnership with universities to bring in more diversity into our entry-level sales roles specifically. Our goal moving forward is definitely to keep pushing boundaries, advocate for equal opportunities, and create a future where every woman has the chance to reach their full potential, both within MST and beyond.
We at Muthoot Microfinance believe in empowerment of women. We are an organization where 100% of our clients are women folks. Today, we cater to 3.4 million women entrepreneurs at the bottom of the pyramid. So caring for women is at the core of our business. This is an organization which is for the woman and by the woman. We have a good percentage of our employees who are women folks. As an organization, we believe that this is a community that has served us. We survive by this, and we believe this is our strength. And we'll continue to work in this sphere and take women leadership forward.
At Randstad, we are very proud of our 35% women in leadership. We have actually initiated many development opportunities for our women. One, which are completely focused on the women, and second, where we also ensure that they have leadership development opportunity. Some of the programs we are very proud of are Power 25 for women empowerment, We Equal and Elevate Her, where we ensure that specifically our women cohort get a lot of development opportunity.
We are very education and experience agnostic in the garment manufacturing business. So we employ a large workforce of women who would not have been employed otherwise in the other industry, or there may have been very different criteria for them, whether it's education or the background. Irrespective of that, it being a skill-based business, we employ a large number of workforce. The other element is that we have a lot of platforms and internal committees which are headed by women workforce, and they are representing the requirements and the needs of the workforce and the people very effectively, and that gives them a very strong voice within the system. The other element is to do with their financial and social impact. So when they are starting to earn, they are now educating their children, they are creating movable assets, immovable assets, and we are very proud to see that their children are actually becoming doctors, engineers, post-graduation, which is sort of helping them to progress very well in the whole social structure.
Mars really walks the talk when it comes to gender parity and equality. It is very common to see women leaders across all levels in the company and across every function. What this really does is showcase to our women associates that there is really no glass ceiling at work, and they have access to all these wonderful women leaders who can act as their sponsors and mentors.
At UB, inclusion is not just about who's in the room. It is about who feels valued, heard, and respected beyond the room. So diversity, equity, and inclusion is weaved into all the processes and employee lifecycle activities that we have at UB, so that they are inclusive, they are gender agnostic, and they do not create any bias in any process that we manage for the people.
The 5th edition of ET Now Best Organizations for Women Summit 2025 continued by honoring Trailblazers who continue to raise the bar in creating rich and inclusive workplaces for women.
At AbbVie, we have an initiative which we call Women Leaders in Action, which helps us focus on catalyzing careers of women globally. It helps us in deepening the community of women leaders across and fosters collaboration, as well as helps us in increasing the global footprint of women leaders across in AbbVie. In India, we have a program which we call Power Up, which helps us in developing a leadership capability pipeline for women leaders and women talents within the country.
Inclusion or diversity, for that matter, is not a goal. It's actually a commitment. We provide systems and value systems and processes, etc., which help them to get represented at all levels. All our leadership teams members are committed to provide mentorship, sponsorship, allow people to grow, allow them to make their voices heard. We have sufficient spaces, which when I say safe spaces for them to talk about, whether it is forums, whether DEI forum or whether it is diversity councils or there are women networks, whatever it is. So it helps to provide them a safe space for people to talk.
We believe in equal opportunity. So what we have done is, as an organization, we have one of the best recruitment standards for women. We place our women organizations to be coming and doing a lot of initiatives and activities with us. In terms of percentage also, for women employees, we have 27% as our employees, women employees. And in terms of our development and growth for women, what we look at employees who can be developed for leadership positions, they can take up new roles. And also we can look at, if there is a disparity of income, so we also look at disparity of income. So that's what we have been looking at as of now.
In my view and experience, I have not seen too many systemic barriers affecting gender equality. Most organizations have similar pay, similar policies, of course with the necessary changes based on gender, but I don't think systemically there is an issue with gender equality. I think it's more an issue of unconscious bias. We have biases that we ourselves don't know we have. In EQ, for instance, we run a program on unconscious bias for all our colleagues. Everybody takes that program, enrolls into that program, and it helps us become more aware of ourselves as an individual, our behaviors and our mannerisms with respect to various situations and genders. I think that's the key to making sure there is gender equality. Systemic barriers, I think, are far and few in between.
The key piece there is actually to look at more granular approach in terms of what really women want, rather than just looking at, at a larger macro picture. It's very important that we build this kind of a competence in our managers so that they are sensitive to the needs of various kinds of workforce and including different kinds of diversity which we have in the organizations, and are able to meet their expectations and also understand what they require. That's the only way we'll be able to actually build an organization which will be more diverse, which will be more sensitive, and which will be more inclusive.
At SAI, what we're doing is that we're trying to have initiatives to transform the workplace for women employees to be inclusive, be it leadership roles or flexible policies, which will give tools for the women to succeed in their roles. At SAI, the heart is in place where women needs to be empowered. And we also believe that when a woman succeed, organizations succeed.
At Encora, gender equality is not just our code. Right? It's actually embedded in our culture and the way we. Encora has presence in 20 countries so far, and we really bring in a lot of diverse thoughts, a lot of things that drive change together, and which calls out loudly on our diverse work culture today. And we are a great place to work in all of these countries, which shows our commitment towards an inclusive workplace. At Encora, we promote gender equality and inclusivity. It's a continuous commitment, right? And that's driven by a lot of various initiatives and strategies, which turn into actions. And we foster this culture mainly with a lot of leadership development programs, the return to work
program that we would be launching. This will create a lot of foster this culture and create a career path for a lot of women.
We are actually having close to 50% of our workforce women now, and in the quality engineering space, women make very, very good tech professionals. So it makes very important business sense for us to attract and retain a lot of women folk in our organization because of the psychological attributes that women have around attention to detail and also their ability to discern good from bad. So that is why we hire a lot of women and we ensure that they succeed in the organization.
The final round of felicitations spotlighted organizations that continue to lead with purpose, building futures where women rise, lead and succeed.
We have really comprehensive processes which focuses on gender equality and inclusion, which starts from recruitment, which starts from focusing in terms of giving people a lot of coaching and mentoring, also in terms of giving them opportunities and challenging roles to perform as well. As we continue to do that, we are totally committed in structuring our processes in such a way that will help people to evolve, especially focusing around the gender diversity. There's a lot of focus on mentoring and coaching, which actually is very, very critical for people.
At NBC Bearings, we believe that a truly progressive organization must reflect diversity at every level. Gender equality isn't a separate initiative. It's integrated into how we hire, develop, and grow our people. We have launched dedicated platforms like SheRise to connect and empower our women employees, provide mentorship, and foster leadership.
Every woman who works with us deserves a safe and a healthy work environment. And towards this promise, we have implemented a very strong POSH policy wherein we have internal committees at each of our regional offices with an external member on the committee. We have also trained all our women workforce on the penalties that are there as part of the policy in case of any breach, and also on the rights available to them in case there is a misbehavior or there is a incident that has happened to them. And this is how we implement the women's safety agenda in New India.
As a company, we run an initiative which says ask first and save first. It's a very actionable item altogether where we ensure that every meeting, whenever there is an opportunity to ask a question, when the manager says, does anybody have a viewpoint, it should be asked to a woman first. If there is a question, it has to be raised by women first. With that pressure, you're preparing yourself better. With that preparation, you grow better. So that's one way we try to break that systematic barrier so that the manager first gives the opportunity because our diversity ratio is not good, and then you give the confidence to the women employees too.
Tech has long been a male-dominated world. At ThoughtSpot, we are striving to shift that balance by thoughtful hiring and by giving great growth opportunities for women. In India, we are looking at to see if 80% of our interns can be women. This builds us a great pipeline in. We are very proud of our CSR activities. We work with organizations called Empower Ananya and Nav Gurukul so that we can give a break for underprivileged girls who wants to get into technology. At ThoughtSpot, gender equality isn't a goal. We work on it every single day.
We have nearly 40% women employees, and you would be delighted to know that in the leadership team, which is nearly a 45-member strong team, we have 50% of the women who are in the leadership positions. So to speak, this sets the benchmark for women to speak out, to stand their ground, take decisions, and make the impact that is required in the academic community. So being from the academia, it is also very important to know that we do not have pay parity issues that is mostly spoken about in other corporate sectors.
From visionary voices to inspiring honors, the 5th edition of ET Now Best Organizations for Women Summit 2025 spotlighted those shaping a future where equity isn't just a goal. It's a standard. Keep watching only on ET Now.